Velma 2023. The 2023 reboot of the Scooby-Doo franchise, titled Velma, stands as one of the most controversial animated series in recent memory. Developed for HBO Max by Mindy Kaling, the project was framed as a significant reimagining of the source material. Key changes included altering the ethnic backgrounds of several main characters, with Velma herself portrayed as South Asian, and completely removing the iconic character of Scooby-Doo. In interviews, Kaling and the creative team stated their goal was to challenge white heteronormative structures and to use the series to explore themes of systemic racism, toxic masculinity, and queer theory. This represented a fundamental shift from the original's Mystery of the Week format to a narrative centered on social commentary. Upon release, the show's content proved divisive. The character of Velma was rewritten with a cynical and abrasive personality, frequently delivering monologues critical of other characters, particularly Fred, who was portrayed as an embodiment of unearned privilege. The show's humor was often derived from deconstructing social stereotypes, and its plot lines frequently revolved around topics like microaggressions and systemic oppression. The audience reaction was overwhelmingly negative. The series quickly became one of the lowest-rated television shows of all time on audience-driven platforms like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Online, fans of the original Scooby-Doo expressed a sense of betrayal, arguing that the reboot had sacrificed the charm and heart of the franchise in favor of a political agenda. The backlash was not limited to longtime fans. Many viewers who were open to a new take found the writing and characterizations to be unappealing. Despite the studio's initial hopes, the series was canceled after its second season following poor viewership and the widespread negative reception.
Cool.
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Is it called rudeness?
Santa Inc. 2021. Another HBO Max production, Santa Inc., took a satirical and adult-oriented approach to Christmas mythology. The series was created by Sarah Silverman, a comedian whose work has often included satire of organized religion and social norms. The show's premise involved a female elf, voiced by Silverman, attempting to break the glass ceiling and become the first female Santa Claus. The creators described the show's purpose as dismantling patriarchal Christmas mythology and exploring holiday traditions through a feminist lens. The North Pole was presented as a metaphor for a corporate patriarchy, with Santa Claus as a well-meaning but flawed leader of an outdated system. The series employed a deliberately provocative and vulgar style. The humor was adult-oriented, filled with profanity and graphic content, and the narrative consistently satirized traditional Christmas values, which many viewers perceived as an attack on Christian faith and holiday traditions. The response was intensely negative. On YouTube, the official trailer for Santa Inc. received one of the highest dislike ratios in the platform's history. The series was not renewed for a second season.
So let's get these kids some presents.
Q-Force 2021. Netflix's Q-Force was pitched as an adult animated comedy centered on a group of undervalued LGBTQ+ spies. Created by Gabe Liedman, the series was intended to give queer characters the spotlight in a genre where they have historically been sidelined. Netflix marketed the show heavily towards an LGBTQ+ audience, hoping to create a celebratory cultural moment. The show's premise involved a brilliant gay spy, Agent Mary, who is relegated to West Hollywood after coming out. He assembles a team of other queer spies, the Q-Force, to solve cases on their own and prove their worth to the agency that ostracized them. However, upon release, the series was met with criticism from all sides. Many LGBTQ+ viewers found the humor to be dated and reliant on broad and at times offensive stereotypes. The characters were seen by some as one-dimensional caricatures rather than authentic representations. At the same time, other audiences rejected the show for what they perceived as heavy-handed messaging about heteronormativity and homophobia. The attempt to blend activism with a spy comedy format resulted in a show that struggled to find its identity. Ultimately, Q-Force failed to connect with its target demographic or a broader audience and was quietly canceled by Netflix after one season.
Saving your life! No, you're touching my sack.
The The Powerpuff Girls Reboot 2016. The 2016 reboot of the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network represented a significant departure from the beloved 1998 original. The new series replaced the original creative team and voice cast, aiming to update the show for a new generation of children. This update involved not just a new animation style, but a distinct shift in tone and thematic focus. Where the original was known for its clever blend of superhero action and witty humor, the reboot placed a greater emphasis on the girls' daily lives and contemporary social issues. Episodes frequently touched on topics like online culture, social justice, and modern feminism. For example, characterizations were altered. Blossom was often portrayed as a meticulous organizer, Bubbles became more assertive and interested in coding, and Buttercup's tough exterior was explored through a lens of toxic masculinity. The reception was deeply divided. Fans of the original series widely criticized the reboot for losing the charm, wit, and dynamic action of its predecessor. They felt the new focus on slice-of-life stories and social commentary was a poor substitute for what made the first show a classic. While the show did find a new, younger audience, it never achieved the cultural impact of the original and was seen by many as a case study in how a reboot can misinterpret the core appeal of the property it's adapting.
What damage could they possibly cause?
See what damage we can possibly cause.
High Guardian Spice 2021. High Guardian Spice was Crunchyroll's first original animated production marketed as a story about 4 young girls training to become guardians at a magical academy. The series was created by Ray Rodriguez, and it was promoted heavily on its themes of diversity and LGBTQ+ inclusion. The show's production was framed around its commitment to representation, both on-screen and behind the scenes. The narrative centered on the personal journeys of its main characters, as they navigated challenges related to their identities, including gender and sexuality, within a fantasy setting. Upon its release, High Guardian Spice was met with a deeply negative reception from Crunchyroll's core audience of anime fans. Viewers widely criticized the show for what they perceived as subpar animation quality, weak writing, and a narrative that prioritized lecturing on social issues over compelling storytelling. Many in the anime community felt that the show was an attempt to impose Western-centric social values onto a medium with its own distinct cultural tropes and artistic standards. The backlash was severe, and the series became a cautionary tale within the anime community about the potential pitfalls of a company misjudging its audience's desires. It was not renewed.
Hold on, you got mugged on your first day?
I'm sorry, is there a better time to get mugged?
The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder 2022. The Disney Plus revival of the popular 2000s-era cartoon The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder brought back the original creator, Bruce W. Smith, to continue the story. The new series was positioned as a modern take that would directly engage with contemporary social issues, particularly those surrounding race in America. The show did not shy away from controversial topics. Episodes explored concepts like critical race theory, reparations, and systemic racism, often through the eyes of its young characters. One particularly debated episode featured the characters discovering their town was founded by a racist and performing a song with the lyrics, "Slaves built this country." This direct approach to social commentary created a polarized reaction. Some critics and viewers praised the show for its boldness and willingness to tackle difficult subjects in a family-friendly format, seeing it as an important educational tool. However, it also generated significant backlash from parent groups and other viewers who condemned the content as divisive, historically questionable, and inappropriate for a children's show. They argued that the revival had traded the universal family themes of the original for a specific and heavy-handed political agenda.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Shirra and the Princesses of Power 2018 to 2020. Netflix's reboot of the 1980s classic, Shirra and the Princesses of Power, was developed by showrunner Noelle Stevenson. From the outset, Stevenson was clear about the creative direction, stating in interviews that a primary goal was to challenge heteronormative assumptions and to create a series where queer relationships were central to the narrative. The show was designed to be a significant departure from the original. Character designs were updated to feature a wider variety of body types, and the story moved away away from a simple good versus evil conflict to explore more complex themes of trauma, redemption, and systemic oppression. The central relationship between the hero, Adora, and her rival-turned-love interest, Catra, became the emotional core of the series. Shirra received widespread critical acclaim, with many reviewers praising its character development, world-building, and groundbreaking LGBTQ+ representation in children's animation. The show won several awards and was celebrated by many progressive viewers as a landmark series. However, the reboot also faced a notable backlash from fans of the original 1980s cartoon. These viewers often felt that the new show had little in common with the property they grew up with and argued that their nostalgia was being used to advance a political agenda, highlighting a cultural divide between audiences seeking faithful adaptations and those embracing modern reinterpretations.
They've been lying to us. You have to help me.
What happened to you?
I'm sorry, Catra.
She's just like every other princess. All sparkle, no substance.
Plus, your friend over there can turn into a 8-foot-tall lady with a sword, and I want her on my side.
Mr. Burchham 2024. As a final case study, it's useful to look at a show created as a direct response to this trend, Mr. Birchum. Released on the conservative platform Daily Wire Plus, the series was created by comedian Adam Carolla and explicitly marketed as anti-messaging counter-programming. The plot follows a traditional woodshop teacher struggling to navigate a modern world he finds confusing. Despite being positioned as an antidote to woke media, the series was a commercial and critical failure, earning a dismal 12% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. The core criticism, even from its intended conservative audience, was that the show was just as heavy-handed as the media it was satirizing. The humor was seen as secondary to overt ideological lecturing, just from an opposing political viewpoint. Social media users widely noted that Mr. Burcham inadvertently proved the central thesis of this video. Audiences are generally resistant to forced political messaging, regardless of its origin. Viewers want to be entertained by good stories, not preached to from either side of the political spectrum.
What about their allergies? Maybe those theys could be lactose intolerant.
No, we can't say intolerance. We have a zero-tolerance policy for mentioning intolerance.
What are your thoughts on this trend? Have you watched any of these shows? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis interesting, please consider subscribing for more content. Thanks for watching.